Hello and welcome to the Writing Gals Trope Talk video. We are talking about billionaires today. I'm Victorine,
I'm Michelle.
and let's dive in.
Let's.
What is it about the billionaire trope that gets everybody all interested in it?
Well, it's pure fantasy of the best kind. I mean, if you think about it, probably a lot of us, our first billionaire was Daddy Warbucks from the Annie
Right?
musical. And one of my favorite parts of that is when Annie is just discovering this crazy world that she's been brought in. The contrast from her life at the orphanage to this giant mansion where there's a million servants and all these luxuries, and she can have anything she wants, and the shopping trips and the just elaborate lifestyle, and all of us trying to eke out our existence here, going paycheck to paycheck a lot of times and worrying about money. That just seems like a dream come true, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah, I agree. And a lot of times the non-billionaire is like down on their luck and is struggling for financially, and so that makes it even more of a dream come true.
Yeah, I haven't seen any like billionaire um billionaire romance.
Right.
Two billionaires fall in love.
Now I gotta write one of those.
So I mean
It could work.
so I think it's just about the contrast, right? I guess if you made your billionaires like have a lot of contrast between them, but the fun is like going into their world, stepping into the billionaire world. And they're always a popular trope because, let's get real, it's a forever green trope, mostly because it's the color of money. And that will never get tiring, will never get old. And it might take on a different shape at some point in the future. Probably 50 years ago, 30 years ago, the idea of a millionaire was enough for a romance. I remember reading old Harlequin novels written from like the 1950s, 1960s, and that would be a millionaire. And that was wow. And now it has to be a billionaire. And they say in the next, I don't know, 7 years or something like that, Elon Musk might be a trillionaire.
Oh my goodness.
So once we have the first trillionaire, like, will billionaires still be big enough? I don't know. But I think one of the things people don't get right enough about this trope is that they don't have enough respect for how much money a billion is. And we've talked about that before, that people just don't make them rich enough. You have to, like, I know a couple of like millionaires who have enough millions for it to actually be millions, and they're small fry compared to what a billionaire can afford. And that has a lot of ramifications in their life, what they think about, what their approach to money is, their philosophy on living, that what they have time for, and probably what kind of struggles they have. And when we get into a story, it's all about, what does each of the characters want? What are they lacking? What do they still need? And then they find that in each other after overcoming their struggles. And so a billionaire might seem like they have everything you could possibly wish for, but the trope is about unmasking, who they really are and what they really want and what they're still missing in their lives. And that is what your other character is going to fill in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And even though they're billionaires, they have pressure. They have things they struggle with. Their lives aren't perfect.
Yeah. I think setup is really important for a billionaire story, and the ones that I've written have required a lot of research. Usually because you have to know how a billionaire makes their money. You can have them just inherit it if you want to, or they can be a self-made billionaire. But either way, you have to understand something about managing that kind of money and wealth. There's there are going to be businesses attached to it.
Mhm.
So I've ended up doing way too much research on corporations, portfolios, like all the things. And that can seem like really, really boring. And you obviously don't just like put all of that into your story, but like you have to somehow be able to flesh them out as like a real business person, I
Mhm.
think, and set them up and how they earn the money because that has a lot to do with all the things that they need and want and struggle with. And you also have to build up your other character. So, we're going to talk next week about fish out of water. And then after that, we're going to talk about the Cinderella trope. And both of those play really well with this trope.
Yes.
So, we want to talk about that a little bit.
So yeah, fish out of water is perfect for Billionaire because usually the female just is totally lost in the billionaire world, right? And so that works perfectly with that. And definitely the Cinderella trope where she's down on her luck and just seems like her life keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and then goes up from there. That works really well too.
Yeah. And it's really fun when you can take, their awe and like let the reader live vicariously through them. But at the same time, it's fun when they don't like the wealth. You know,
Yeah.
if they're like, wait, I played around a lot with that in my first billionaire romance that I ever wrote, where I wanted my character to not want anything to do with the money. Because if
Yeah.
you have a billionaire, it's like, check, yeah, I'm going to definitely say yes to this guy. And you have to give your character a reason why they wouldn't just automatically be all in. I'm
Right.
all in. Yeah, you have money. You can provide this lifestyle. You like me. I'm just all in automatically. There has to be something that is the pull trope or the what drives them apart. And one of the ones I've used before is that she has some kind of real problem with the money, the lifestyle, the notoriety, all the trappings that go along with a billionaire.
Yep, I've done that too.
Yeah. You have a lot of side characters that are pretty common in billionaire romances. They usually have a lot of people around them. They usually have a full staff. It might be a butler, it might be a driver, going to have some kind of like personal assistance, maybe like a PR person, a lawyer who's like head of their lawyer firm, all their businesses, all these people, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of times you'll have family members who are like trying to get in on the cash somehow or something like that. So I think an important part of billionaire romances can be how they play with the character, your love interest that's coming into the billionaire's world. Um, I think it's important to see how they accept her, support her, how they, will try and shield her from all of the difficult parts of it, or how they'll make it worse for her and try and drive her away because she's a threat to what they're trying to get. There's just a lot of interpersonal relationships that can be really important, especially if it's about like inheriting this money, that kind of thing. So just a lot of dynamics to work out with. So what are your favorite billionaire romances? Either yours or like ones you've watched before or read before.
Oh golly. Put me on the spot.
Just tell me some of yours because you wrote like a whole billionaire club
Yes.
series.
So I do have a series. I just have a billionaire series and then I have a billionaire club series. And the billionaire club series is all of the stories are set on the Cayman Islands in a fancy resort. They call it the Billionaire Club. So all the people that go there are like super rich and fancy and stuff like that. And so of course, often the female that ends up there is not super rich and fish out of water type situations and stuff like that. So
I have a Southern billionaire romance, and In one of them, he's like got a secret identity, which is like the only way you can, I think, get away with having someone who's living almost like a normal life who's
Yeah.
also a billionaire. I have to admit that sometimes I wish I could go back and write my billionaires richer than I did.
Uh-huh.
But one of the things that I think is really important in a billionaire romance is the grand gesture. Like, so whatever reason you find to pull them apart for your dark moment in the romance, like I really feel like with the billionaire romance, you kind of got to go all out with the grand gesture. Like there's like the airport scene in a lot of shows where they're like chasing after someone who's trying to leave. Well, like what do you do if your billionaire can pay to like shut down traffic or bring a helicopter in or causes an international disaster or like, you know, all this like crazy stuff? Just make it like big, like have them, you know, pull off something that only somebody with a whole lot of money can pull off. But then you also have to bring it down to the very, very personal. Like, I'm just a man standing in front of a woman asking him to love me. And
Right.
you know that line. So
Yeah.
like that really has to come into the whole billionaire thing. For sure is, you know, I'm just me and you're just you. And so like all these problems aside, like let's make this work.
Yes.
Yeah. So billionaires are super fun. And I think they work in just about any like genre too, like a category of romance. Even if you're writing fantasy, it might not be like the equivalent of what a contemporary modern world, real world billionaire might be like, but like that super, super wealthy, super powerful character works in fantasy. It definitely works in historical. Mr. Darcy is famously the first like billionaire hero that existed. And so like we just have all the things that we can do for the billionaires, and I can't give them enough love ever. I have a brother-in-law that's always joking about how every billionaire is good looking. Have you ever pulled up like the billionaire list, like the real life billionaire list?
Yeah, I have. And they're not very good looking.
No, they're not. They're not very young. There are like
No.
just a handful of them that are young.
Yeah.
And very few of them are good looking. And in real life, I'm sure that they don't have any problem finding a significant other. But that's always my brother-in-law's joke when he teases me about writing billionaire romances. He's like, "Let me guess, they're good looking," and it's like, "You know they are." Like I think a real life billionaire that was actually good looking would get a lot of attention. So
I
that's
think
another
you're
reason
right.
why it's pure fantasy, because they don't really exist in real life, at least that way. So we touched briefly on fish out of water. So we're going to come back and talk about that next week. We would love to hear from you guys in the comments if you've written billionaire romances, if you love them, if you hate them, anything that you have to say about billionaires, or if you have tropes that you want us to talk about in the future.
Oh, yeah.
We'd love to know that so we can kind of prioritize that a little bit more. And so, yeah, this has been a fun one. I've been actually looking forward to this one for a while. Go read all the
right.
romances, guys.
Enjoy, and we'll see you next week. Oh, don't forget to check out our Facebook group. And we have the Writing Gals Academy, which is a whole conglomeration of classes from our past conferences, which is you can access it all for just $9.95 a month, or if you want to do a yearly subscription, it's only $99, and that's for a whole year of access to all of these amazing classes that we have in our academy.
Yep.
So I'll put a link below to that.
There should be some more trope classes in there too. So
yes.
All right, guys. Thanks. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.